Oh, this will be fun. That Donald Trump, Rosie O'Donnell joke, by the way, I got that from a friend of mine who went to Harvard. Do you know how I know he went to Harvard? Because I've known him for 30 seconds. But I'm not here to make jokes about Harvard. I guess I'm sort of here to make jokes about Jesus, right? And I can do that and still sleep soundly because I am a humanist. And I say humanist and not atheist because to me, the term atheist, aside from being unfairly stained by our culture with a negative stigma that is virtually beyond repair, is a word that defines itself from the ground up on religious terms. You're either religious or non-religious. You are theist or non-theist or atheist. That's like saying you are either white or non-white. It begins in a very warped place. Therefore, instead of saying you're either an atheist or believer, it's probably better to say you're either a humanist or like a batshit enthusiast would be. Now, I do not intend this talk to be 10 minutes of religion bashing. It's probably going to be more like 12 to 15 minutes. And ironically, yes, you heard it here, it is true that the wisest atheists are only 99.9% atheist, as due respect for the scientific method compels them to reserve judgment until concrete evidence is obtained one way or the other, if we're being responsible. Though everything we know about the universe thus far points to the absence of a conscious, intelligent driving force, the only driving force we have detected is gravity. But it certainly goes without saying that religion has done its fair share of damage to the human capacity for critical thinking in our society. When you think about the fact that so many key scientific discoveries that came about during the Renaissance, including a rudimentary understanding of the orbits of the nearer planets, the awareness of the solar system and how it must be heliocentric, the idea that the Earth cannot be flat, had already been conceived and explored by ancient Ionian scientists and mathematicians. 2,200 years ago, Eratosthenes, beginning with the curious observation that a stick pointing upward at noon in Syene, Egypt, cast no shadow, while at the same moment, 800 kilometers north, a stick in Alexandria cast a distinct shadow, was able to correctly deduce the circumference of the Earth 2,200 years ago. The enormous body of knowledge collected in these early Greek discoveries was, however, harshly suppressed by the church throughout the 1,000-year period we call the Dark Ages, and had to be, in effect, rediscovered a millennium later in the 16 and 1700s. And just think, had the church not risen to power, and had science progressed from its ancient Greek beginnings, as it should have during that dark period, we could be 1,000 years more advanced than we are now. Cures for every disease imaginable, spacecraft able to visit another star, the ability to receive a call with AT&T Wireless. The Quagmire Show would be on the air by now. Giggity. And it could all have been possible had those 1,000 years of dogmatic fervor not clogged the pipes. Pope, you owe me an android body. 2011 is a strange time to be a humanist. We, as a species, have never had a richer understanding of the world around us. We know the rough age of the cosmos in which we inhabit. We've unraveled many of the mysteries of our own genetic makeup, and we have used the knowledge of DNA to launch over 60 CSI and Law & Order spin-offs. Programs that arm us with the knowledge, for the first time in human history, to never ejaculate at a crime scene. We may have discovered neutrinos that move faster than the speed of light, that is, until the gay guy from Airplane plugs the particle accelerator back in and says, "Just kidding." We know how to find a human being anywhere on the planet and then send a guy to kill him. We're about to launch a spacecraft to Mars that will send back not just photographs, but actual moving digital images from that world. We know that if you were able to stand on a flat surface on the planet Venus, That is, without getting pulverized by its atmospheric pressure or cooked by its 900-degree surface temperatures, if you were able to simply stand on a flat plane somewhere on that planet, it would look to your eyes as if you were standing in a big curved bowl, because the light around you is actually being distorted by the crushing pressure of an atmosphere 92 times that of Earth. You will not find these things in the Bible. Maybe in Revelation you'll find these things. No, these were discoveries made by inquisitive, clever, hardworking human beings who were striving to understand the universe in which they found themselves. At the same time, our supposedly advanced society clings to these bizarre and downright primitive superstitions. We believe in astrology, psychics, faith healing, angels. We persist in shoehorning faith and irrationality into our modern society. And the result is this weird hybrid of technology and mythology that's basically the movie Krull. I don't think we want to be Krull. Every presidential administration begins with a prayer. Every legislative session begins with a prayer. When people are really drunk and bent over a toilet because they think they might puke, but they're not 100% sure, there's almost always a prayer in there. Nowadays, even priests are taking time out from their fondling to talk about Jesus. How did our priorities get so out of whack? Well, what should give pause to the faith-minded individual is that a recent discovery in quantum physics, a comparatively young branch of science, which has nonetheless passed every single test of mathematical validity that we've thrown at it, has determined that the universe did not necessarily require a creator. It may literally have popped into existence from nothing. In other words, it's not God's fault that you showed your tits to Joe Francis. Now, how is that possible, you ask? How does something come from nothing? Nothing ever could. Well, we've seen it with our own eyes in particle accelerators, in physics labs, subatomic particles that disappear in one place and reappear in another. Like when Muammar Gaddafi disappeared from encroaching rebel forces and then weeks later resurfaced to marry Shannon Tweed. It's a Gene Simmons reference, kids. We've also observed instances of a single subatomic particle that literally exists in two places at the same time, like how Justin Bieber can be touring around the world and simultaneously be in the closet. That one you get. Sodomy. It's a biblical word. We did not seek out this precise knowledge. We discovered it through observation and experimentation. And that's one of the fundamental differences between religious belief and the arena of scientific study, which of course is more humanist-friendly. Religion is notorious for conceiving an idea and then trying to make it true, either by propaganda or sometimes by force, while science makes a discovery and then immediately sets about trying to disprove it, just to be really sure it's correct before everybody makes idiots of themselves. With the religious, when it comes to asking tough questions about their own faith, the furthest many Christians will go is maybe skimming the Da Vinci Code. The most you'll get out of some Jews is the quiet admonition that maybe Jackie Mason isn't funny. And behind closed doors, you may get some Muslims to admit that if they see a Muhammad cartoon, they probably won't turn into the Hulk. Now, I have religious friends. I have very close religious friends whom I like and respect. I have great respect for Jimmy Carter, who is a self-professed born-again Christian. But it's disheartening for the future when you see so many of these reflex Christians responding to complicated scientific theories with simplistic bumper stickers like, "We did not evolve from monkeys." And in some instances, they're right. For example, the cast of Jersey Shore are still monkeys. Oh, hang on one sec. Idea for a reality show. Kate Blanchett, John Hamm, and the cast of Jersey Shore all living in a house together. The show will be called John and Kate Plus Apes. There are religious folk who are able to balance their beliefs with an openness to scientific progress and intellectual evolution. There would be probably too many contradictions in that lifestyle for my taste, but many people do it successfully. The problem is that they're in the minority, or at the very least, the vocal minority in America. The rest live by what believers describe proudly as blind faith. But blindness is not a fair representation. If someone is blind, their other senses take over to verify the information and then report back that, yes, I can hear a car coming, or indeed, I can feel the staircase railing. What these believers in question are actually demanding is more like Helen Keller faith. Wherein if you don't understand your world, you just moan and you throw shit at it until it goes away. Or until an authority figure takes you by the hand and forces you to comply with the way everyone else does things. Despite that, all we've learned about human social structure from anthropology and even, yes, from cooperative animal interaction, godless animals, we continue to be told that religion and theism are essential to morality and to ethics, that without faith, people turn into druggy, feral, rapey monsters masturbating at each other. First of all, if that were true, this would be a much better event than it actually is. But regardless, that entire premise is undermined by the fact that statistically, violent crime is much more common in states where people are more devout. And our own Christian nation has much higher murder rates than you will find in the secular nations of Western Europe. It can be argued that religion was the first institution to canonize morality, to put it in tidy, consumer-friendly packages like the Ten Commandments and Saved by the Bell. But morality did not originate with religion, and it most definitely exists independent of it. But like I said, I don't want to just stand up here and badmouth our religious friends. I also want to badmouth our religious enemies. Marcus Bachmann, holy shit. Pray the gay away. I don't get that. If you don't like True Blood, just don't watch it. What the hell happened to Marcus Bachmann? As a kid, did his dad give him his first baseball bat rectally? What happened to this guy? And more importantly, why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we cling to outdated dogma? One theory is that when we're children, we see adults as infallible oracles of right and wrong, of good and evil. They seem to know everything. They have all the answers to our questions. They're these all-powerful protectors, and in a sense, they're gods. And then we grow up to be their age and we realize, oh man, they're just as clueless, they're just as fucked up as we were. But that innate, desperate craving for guidance is as strong as ever within us, even into adulthood. We still long for that higher power to tell us right from wrong, so we invent God to fill that hole.